Hi everyone, and welcome to my presentation on the copyright and fair usage laws in regards to using them in student work and how we can look at informing students in the future. This is part of my VoiceThread for Module 12. I hope you find it a little bit more interesting than I did reading up on these laws, because they're quite in depth, shall we say. Well, I want to start off by talking about how delicate and how fine a line it is, and it really is down to interpretation. As I worked through the inside of the module, when I'd done the tutorial tests on Copyright 101 and the like, I started to realise there's a lot of jargon in there, and trying to pull it apart and understand it's quite a tricky challenge for ourselves as teachers, never mind as students. So what would I say to my students? Well, I've always said to them that I don't want them to feel that they can't touch any work that's been previously done, but at the same time they need to be aware of the laws, and that there are laws that protect people who have designed products or whatever it is that they've done in the past. So I'm going to start off by showing you this guy, of course, Mr. Jobs. Started off, when he came back to Apple, he was forged with setting up a new advertising campaign back in 1997. The interesting point here is that the Think Different campaign was all about the misfits, all about the round pegs and square holes, the rule breakers, the people that think differently, the people that don't listen. And it was all about, well, these are the kind of guys that we want to target. These are the kind of guys that we want to use our computers. Well, it was that good back in 1997, and throughout the next 10-15 years, that's exactly what's happened. The chaps that were, myself included, we were in high school around this time. We saw the adverts. I saw the adverts. I still remember them, and it got me thinking, as it did hundreds of thousands of other people. What's happened is these people that he's targeted have actually turned around and, well, let's have a look at what happened. Good example here from Module 12. Jailbreaking on your iPhone is now legal. Now, jailbreaking is the idea that somebody can take something they've bought, in this case the iPhone, and I should be allowed to design my own software, to design my own apps, to design how I want it to look, and use and share free market stuff on the market for free. Of course, Jobs and Apple didn't like this, because they saw it as an infringement on the capability of what the iPhone could do. So 1998, lo and behold, we get this copyright, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1998, which states you cannot touch our stuff. You can only use our equipment and our software and our hardware as it has been sold. You don't have the right to change it. And, well, okay, for 12 years the law stood, until more and more hackers started to attack the law and say, well, surely we should have free reign. Lo and behold, 2010, the US government changed the rules and said, in fact, if you want to go into the free market and come up with new designs or new software or new apps, why should we be infringing upon that? So that always changed. This is a classic example of what I would always try and teach to my students, that it's great to say something, and it's great to have the ideas the way Apple did back in the late 90s and early 2000s, but when it comes full circle and you kind of get eaten up by the monster you've created, you don't really have a leg to stand on. And although yes, it is a very, very tricky, delicate area to try and work out, there are many, many exceptions where, well, you created these guys. These guys are now just being creative. They're being innovative. They're pushing the boundaries. So I try and explain this to my students in my class. Another really good example is, if I look at the digital, if I go back to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, 1998. It's all about people. You can't copy anything. Whatever's done is done, and that's the way it is. It's set in stone, and you have to pay royalties if you want to use something. Well, again, that was kind of challenged by these guys. So Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke, they wrote the song Blurred Lines. But what's happened is Well, there's been an argument saying, hang on, you didn't write the song because it's a direct copy of Marvin Gaye's song "Gotta Give It Up," which in itself is obviously a fantastic tune. But Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams argued in court and said, well, actually, Your Honour, no, it's not. This is our song. We took inspiration from the 70s original song and we used it to create our own music. And it went back and forth in court, and the judges argued one way and then another. Lo and behold, $9.1 million had to be paid out in royalties because the judge ruled that these two guys, although they're artists and they write their own music, it was too close to the original. And that again is a classic example. Well, you want me to be creative and you want me to be original and innovative, but well, creativity and inspiration has to come from somewhere. Where does it come from? Well, everybody always looks to the past to see what they can come up with, and this shows. This is a case in point. Pharrell Williams states himself, if I read down all through here, everything that's around you in a room was inspired by something or someone. He said, if you kill that, there is no creativity. So when I try to teach creativity in my classrooms, and I try to say to the kids, well, guys, I want you to be creative, I want you to be original, I want you to try and come up with new designs. They have to find an inspiration from somewhere. But the laws on inspiration and the laws in interpreting what it means is extremely tight, and this is where this law comes in, the copyright fair use law. This is the other big one that I found that, again, even the wording's hard to understand. The distinction between what is fair use and what is infringement in a particular case will not always be clear or easily defined. Okay, so you're telling me, how would I even try and approach this with my students? Very hard. I think the only good point is that because we're from an educational background, we do have some leeway in trying to use it as an inspiration. Whereas if I were to start allowing the students to reproduce the music, say for example on YouTube, or a certain design on the internet, on a website, then I'm going to run into legal entanglements. This is the problem. So looking back on it, I find Module 12, it's a very tough area to try and understand, and I for one will always try and share the knowledge and try and make the students become the educator themselves, where they become aware of what's available and really what the boundaries are. Anyway, that's my input so far. I hope it has got you thinking of other great examples and about how we can best share this in our students with our classes in the future. Okay, thanks.